Hey everybody, Shivoso and Phina. We're doing our new moon forecast. It's June 6th, will be the new moon a couple of days before, and we're both really excited to offer this up. I don't know, the word epic is always what comes up for me. So it took me all day just to, figure out all the things going on. So I'm really excited. Um, I do want to remind you all who are just tuning in that we'd love it if you shared these videos around and let people know about us, and also comment and like and subscribe if you like this stuff, if you value it. That really helps our little egos kind of go, yeah, yeah, we're good. We love doing this anyway. I mean, we'll just do it for ourselves, but it really reaches its peak value when it goes out to as many people as possible. So please share it around. Anyway, that's enough marketing. Let's I want to hand it over to Phina, and because I'm like super curious. It's like so game on right now. And I want to see what she has to say for what's going to be like for the next couple of weeks for us. Phina?
Well, it is really game on, and you crack me up when you say that it's going to feed our little egos because we are doing quite the opposite, and we feel that it's so valuable what we have to share and what other readers have to share. But in this case, we're talking about us because you can really benefit from from what we're saying to make your ride a little bit easier. Shiv is going to hit the astrology for you, and I'm going to give you intuitive reading of the upcoming 2 weeks. So let's start out by intensified intuition. At these times, your intuition can be way heightened. It's like the gates are opening up. And as for me, I got a tap on the shoulder by my guides a couple of days ago. Like, you're going traveling, the message was. And yeah, wow, I have to say that epic is the right word. If I could show you just a tiny bit. Yeah, beautiful work with energy work that they are asking me to do. So that's nice. And also for you guys, like, your intuition can be more opening more, but not only if you're already tapped in, tuned on, but also when you're just starting, or even when you're really unaware. Like, intuition is heightening and asking you to open up more because we are making a shift as humanity. So gradually inviting you to come in, to come a little bit closer and to trust. Then I've written down practical to inner work metamorphosis. We've been a little bit more with practical stuff lately, and it's not that we're going to drop that in full, but we are going back, or back is maybe not the right word, but we are moving into also a little phase of integration, um, and doing some inner work, which brings me to the next point. I also mentioned it last time, the purging and doing the inner work. Like, if you haven't been doing much inner work in the past couple of years, maybe there's been some avoidance, maybe it wasn't the right time, you didn't have the safe space to do the inner work, then now is your time. And that is no joke. For some people, it is really terrifying time right now. And I'm feeling a lot of empathy, sympathy for your situations. And this also is a reminder for the people that have been moving through loads of inner work to step up and to see where you can bring value, not as a savior, but more as as a support. Like, where can you be support for the people around you, because you've been doing your inner work and there are other people on the planet that really need you right now. And that's why I'm saying that we're making a shift from the more practical stuff to the inner work. That is where the work actually needs to be done. It is more important for the shift we're making right now. And we so much want to stay up in our heads and gain control. Well, I'm sorry, baby. You are being asked to follow the flow. So from that, I want to say that you might be invited, like me, to go on unexpected travels or to go on a journey within yourself, but to practice with your intuition. A very nice exercise that I really love to do is to check in with my intuition and to play a game to go left or right. So maybe this is something nice you can practice in your own neighborhood, where you really feel when you're walking around, oh, is it best for me to go left or to go to the right? Or if I would love to come across this or that thing, well, guide me towards it and see if you can feel it out where your intuition wants to guide you. And I've been practicing for more than 10 years now, and that is one of the ways that I started out. So if you yeah, if you want to learn a bit more and play with that, you can also keep it playful. It's really nice to practice with. And then I have, do you dare to follow the flow and your synchronicities? Yeah, that's the invitation right now, which can also bring up a lot of anxiety. Like I said, the mind wants control, wants to keep you in a place. And again, I'm going to say it, I'm sorry, babe. You're invited to release. And actually, you're also getting a little push from the inside, depending on where you are, of course, in your phase, but in general, it's up for the collective. So yeah, see where that will lead you. And for me, it led me to a beautiful place. I asked for a nice place to stay these couple of nights, and I am at a place of Annemarie. So I'm giving a shout out to Annemarie. I checked in with her last time during my journey. I was also with her staying here, and yeah, there's this beautiful opportunity. It came up for me to stay here. And then I'll go back on my travels tomorrow and see where that will lead me. And then I have magnetism. That is something with manifesting, like I just told you. Like I came to the place of Annemarie, but I also told Chief that I was a little bit done with going to hostels. I've been doing some energy work in cities and it just took a lot for me. So I wanted a place that was quiet. I wanted a comfy bed. I wanted a nice shower and some nice arrangement like for exchange. And that came on my path. And it went really easy, you know, with an open heart. We both said yes, and then it could flow. But things that are out of alignment, you will feel some resistance in that. And listen to that. Whenever you feel, don't push it. Don't go through that. Like really listen or feel it out. Okay, that is not working. Or when you are with fear and anxiety, you know, it will pull away itself. So it's this game of push and pull, and only when it's really aligned, then it will come into fruition. Well, that is such a nice challenge when you're dealing also with all these feelings that are coming up. But still, you know, it is a practice and it's there for you. And then as I written down all the things that I felt intuitively, I was asking my guides, like, okay, is there anything else that you want me to share? And then they were like, yeah. Remind people of this. And this was connection to the higher realms. And what I wanted to share about that is that I really noticed that the connection to the higher realms, and I'm talking about our spirit guides, our angels, is a lot harder when we are in the city, because the energy in the cities is denser. And while I was doing my work, they showed me that the density of the cities is so great often because these places have a lot of history, a lot of impact, like really heavy energies of war. Um, in the center of these cities. So when you know about vibration, about energy, this sets the stage for the energy in a city. And as long as that is not cleared out, that is the base. So yeah, try to reach up, try to connect to the higher realms. It's a lot harder than when you're in a beautiful clear power spot out in nature, for example. That is way easier. So what really works for me is to ask Archangel Michael, and also to visualize a tunnel of light and really set my intention to create an opening for the connection to come in. But I'm also sharing this as an awareness. Like, if you're really sensitive and you're struggling in while living in a city or just being in the city, it is not you. There are just a lot of energies there. There energies from people, energies from war, a lot of history. Like, I've been to a city that even had the Roman Empire. It had such a strong line with that history. So it is not weird if you're struggling, and they showed me that. So they wanted me to emphasize that. Do the work, do your inner work, meditate, and connect to the higher realms. And if you're struggling, get out to nature if you can, and see if you can get yourself back to balance. Well, that was a long one for me. Normally I'm a lot shorter, but this time I had a lot of words, and I'm looking forward to see how it lines up with you, Shiv. And of course, if there's anything that didn't came through for me, he is going to hit you up with the rest of the information. So, Shiv, I would like to ask you to take us away.
Well, funny you should mention it, but yeah, you were talking about the intuitive is kind of open. The intuition is really open, and one of the big, huge base notes of what's going on astrologically right now is Neptune is sextile to Pluto, and that's going to go on kind of like wavering in and out, but never really going away for really years, right? It's been kind of in and out, present throughout the 20th century. So it's one of those big generational things, but it's actually coming to kind of a crescendo over the next couple of years. And right now, what I was realizing is Pluto sextile to Neptune is kind of like cracking open the doors to the metaphysical, to the gods, if you will, and magic and intuition. And so we've got this kind of going on in the background of everything that happens on the day to day, since this is just a low note. And it's going to get more intense because it's also going to end up sextiling Uranus, and it's going to trine to Pluto's going to trine to Uranus. I wrote about that a few weeks ago, and you're going to hear a lot of astrologers begin to go, okay, here we go, 2026. It's going to like perfect this really amazing minor triangle. But right now, what we've got going on is the Neptune sextile to Pluto. So Pluto's been a big player in the last couple of weeks, the last few months, and this month as well, because it's been trining all of the planets as they move into Gemini. And so we've had the sun, we've had Venus, we've had Mercury, we had the moon, all moving into Gemini and trining Pluto. And so, last week's report that I wrote, you can look up the archetypal meaning of Pluto, and it's intense. Intense is the word, right? But it's also, power and, the underworld and clearing and truth and the purging fire and like a lot of stuff. So here we go. This week, here we go into this beautiful new moon, which is really like dominated because it's with Venus, because Venus is conjunct the new moon, and so the sun, and it obviously conjunct the new moon. So those three planets, those three personal planets, Venus, the sun, and the moon, are all together right there in Gemini. And that's usually really beautiful. I mean, Venus is all about beauty and love and harmony, and romance and money coming in and all sorts of wonderful things. And the moon right there means, oh, our feelings are aligned with it. So, you think, okay, here we go. This is going to be a great new moon. And then blam, Pluto is also exactly trine to Jupiter. So Jupiter is expanding all the Plutonic stuff, the purging fire, the unconscious, the passion, the power, the unseen, the hidden is all kind of like being pushed to the surface. And you can see this in our politics, right? So Pluto in Aquarius is I'm sorry, I said is trying to Jupiter, but it's also a square and a half to the new moon and Venus, right? All at the same time. That square and a half is like a square, but more subtle. It's kind of like, it's really irritating and pushing and subtly kind of like influencing something to happen, to shake things up, to transform, for the truth to come out, right? And it's not going to be something that you just easily manifest. You're going to have to reach for it. So it can be really ungraceful and catastrophic if you try to repress it. But if you step into it, if you lean into those sharp points of what is actually true and what needs to be gone and what needs to happen in your money, your finances, your relationships, the things that you hold valuable, you get results. But if you resist, it's chaos. Because at the same time, Saturn, the Lord of discipline, timing, and the structure of your life is coming into a square to those three planets. It's not exact, but they're in orb. It's definitely there. And so Saturn is saying, do it right, do it in right timing. And so in my written report, I was like, the way to handle this is to be like a cool, calm, and collected samurai monk who knows exactly when to strike with the truth. And that way you move through these things like it's just like butter. That trine between Jupiter and Pluto will actually facilitate it happening. You'll have the confidence and the power to go for it, but you cannot hesitate. You cannot let fear and your unconscious patterns of the way you always did it and the way you just kind of like avoided things take over, because you'll get the lesson. If you do it right, you'll get the benefits. And what'll happen, of course, is we kind of do a little of both. We might hesitate a little too much. We might be a little afraid. We might hold back. We might say it a little clumsily. Our truth might come out a little sideways. But at the same time, to the degree that you step forward and do this hard conversations, these hard works, these hard decisions, and go for it, the degree you do that with grace and power is the degree it'll go well. And the degree you do it with clumsiness and hesitation or fear, that's where you'll get that. And it's going to be a mixed bag, right? Because you got to follow your intuition right now. It's like somewhere in your gut and in your mind, you do know what you really want to be doing and what you need and what you should be, what is right for you. And there's a lot of pressure to kind of like stay in the box and don't step out. But man, we're going to get pushed out of the box of safety and certainty, like for a good portion of the next few years. So get good at this, and this new moon is just another opportunity for that to kind of come up. I don't want to give the impression that you got this one shot at it and it's over, right? It's not over. It's never over. You can always course correct. It just gets difficult. You get these moments when there's a facilitation and a push to do it, and then the push kind of fades away and you can kind of fall back into your old patterns. But then the next wave will come. It is not going to let us just ease through this. It's not going back to normal. It's not going to be the way we want it, what we thought our lives were going to be. It's going to be something really different. And we get to use our intuition and our gut instincts to create that now, to create that for ourselves. Um, that's just the new moon, right? So we got another 2 weeks before we get to the full moon, right? And it's going on, right? So what else we got here? Mars enters into Gemini. So it's been in Taurus, right? And kind of like grinding through Taurus in its sort of steady way. But now it opens up into Gemini. So this fire element moves into the air element and suddenly can just like flare up, right? At the same time, it exactly trines Pluto, which is in the first degrees of Aquarius. So anything going into the first degrees of Gemini is going to trine it. And here comes Mars. Um, I'm sorry. Mars enters Gemini and it's square to Pluto. So that square with Pluto is a really interesting and kind of dangerous moment. It's about a week where we have Pluto square to Mars, and traditionally this is violent. It's unconscious passions arising. And I misspoke saying it was trine. It was actually square. So it's exact on June 12th. So that can go really badly. Arguments, fights, war, uh, yeah, that kind of stuff. Or you can use that passion with discipline, Saturn, to actually create the world you want. It's boundaries, it's holding boundaries, it's protecting what needs to be protected with vigor, right? With passion. And it's the protective warrior as well. It all depends on how you're handling that Pluto stuff, which is your deep unconscious patterns, conditioning, the things you can't really see, you only see as results in your life. So this is all, as usual, a test. It's a test of how well we've been doing in growing into our highest selves. Not a perfected being, but knowing our purpose and know what's right and our wisdom. So when you act unwisely, you get unwise, you get unfortunate circumstances. When you act wisely, it works out better. It doesn't mean it's going to be great, perfect, and you're in bliss and easy street. I wrote in my report, you can't get to easy street from here, but there's a certain kind of suffering that is good suffering. There's wise suffering, and then there's unwise suffering. So this new moon and this week, once again, as always, we're always faced with this choice. What else happens? Okay, Mercury goes behind the sun. So Mercury conjuncts the sun on June 14th as we head to that square with the sun, right? So Mercury combusts the sun, square the moon. That's going to be a really interesting day where, some traditions say that when a planet is conjunct the sun, it loses power. Like the sun kind of takes over, right? But I kind of also see it as like really additive. And so you may have mental inspirations, you have mental flares, you may have the urge to travel. It'll be kind of zoomy and just a really interesting day for the mind, right? At the same time, we'll have Chiron doing a kind of a sequence, the healer, Chiron, the wounded healer, the wisdom keeper, the mentor, is going to be doing a sequence of sextiles. On June 10th, it's with Venus. On June 12th, it's with the sun. And on June 13th, just before Mercury gets behind this, conjuncts the sun, is essentially conjunct the sun, it will sextile to Chiron. And so that means that our healing is up, whether that's healing others or healing ourselves. It's an opportunity for our inner wisdom to come in, for our wounds to be used for the positive. Now you got to figure out what that means, because it really does wounds, our deep inner original wounds are often our greatest gifts. Somehow you have to do that transformation from being a victim of your wounds to being not getting rid of them, not healing them so they go away and they never happened, but turning them into your advantage, turning them into part of your purpose and your power. So that's all up, right? The sextile kind of makes that flow a little bit. Um, oh yeah, and we've had a lot of Neptune going on. Dear Neptune at the 29th degree of Pisces. It's in its home most powerful sign at the most powerful degree of its transit. And Neptune is the planet of ideals and dreams. It's the planet of the transcendent. It's the infinite, literally the infinite. It's spirit, it's spirituality, it's as I say, dreams and imagination, but it's also delusions and illusions and being fooled and trickery. And suddenly you realize, oh, there's a man behind the curtain kind of thing, right? So you got to really watch your ass with Neptune. And it's doing a series of squares because of this three planets, the sun, moon, Mercury, all kind of, and Venus, all kind of sweeping through those degrees. It's going to do a series of squares. June 16th, it squares Venus. June 16th also, it squares Mercury because Mercury is going to be conjunct Venus. I'll talk about that in a second. At the same time, on the 19th, it'll be square to the sun. Now that means that we're going to have this Venus square to Neptune means a dreamy, romantic, escapist vibe. Now you can see the dreamy and romantic can be really positive or it can be escapist and unrealistic, right? So you got to watch your ass there. It can be really beautiful. It can also end up being like, oops, that was all an illusion. And so you want to watch that because Mercury comes along right there and it's our mind. So Venus conjunct Mercury square to Neptune means that either we can get fooled really badly by our own inner like wishes and desires and fears, or we can catch a wave of the most amazing, intuitive, beautiful, ideal uh, experience and call that in, actually manifest it, right? So it can go both ways on, and this is, around the 16th, but of course, these things all kind of come in and out in a wave over days or weeks, right? Um, right after Mercury conjuncts Venus at the 29th degree of Gemini, they drop into Cancer together. And that's going to set a tone. And Cancer is a beautiful, ruled by the moon. It's emotional, it's watery, it's really different than Gemini. Gemini's air and movement and anything's possible. And Cancer is more like, let's just, calm down. Let's keep emotions, let's be in our feeling sense rather than up in our heads. So it'll drop the energy down into our hearts, right? And that will be really helpful because it's still going to be square to Neptune as they move together into Cancer. And there'll be this really awkward quincunx, which is a 150-degree aspect to Pluto. There's Pluto again, making sure that we are not skipping over the deeper implications, aspects, energies of what's going on. None of this is going to be light. It's like, okay, this is not a light era. We're not going to get out of this easy. That's on, all on like the 16th, 17th. The sun does a square to Neptune on the 19th. And there we are, dreaming, spacey. Neptune can also just zap our energy. So we might be just wanting to lay around and not do anything. We might want to sleep a lot and dream. We definitely will want to escape and run away. Really great time to schedule a time to go into nature and quiet down. Nature is a beautiful salve. It's the opposite of delusion. nature always tells the truth. It has no agenda. It doesn't, it's not tricky. It's not trickery. So if you're really feeling confused about stuff, you're probably paying attention to a bunch of mental mind, materialist news stuff. Go out to nature, ask a tree. Tree won't lie to you. Everything's, it's just rolling along, right? So, and then ta-da, it's the solstice, June 20th. We've got the longest day of the year. The sun kind of stops in the sky right there just as it moves into Cancer. So we go from that Gemini sun, which has been pretty active and pretty activating and a bit scattered, may have been a little ADD this whole month. And now we get to kind of come home back into our hearts. And we're going to still have that Neptune thing. So this could all actually be really quite beautiful if we don't get ourselves spun out with stories that aren't true. So discernment is a huge part of this. So then, just to add to the zoom of the whole moment, June 21st is the full moon. So we have the solstice and the full moon right in the first degree of Cancer, right there. Mercury will be sextile to Mars on that day, and it'll be semi-square to, that's a half square, to Uranus. So it's not going to be like, it'll be a different flavor of full moon. This next 2 weeks is going to be very indicative of where we are going. This is an opportunity for us to really make some decisions based on faith and our intuition and our courage about where we want to go in our lives and what we're doing as a whole species on this planet. Obviously it's not going to all come to fruition instantly. This is all just setting tones and adding something to the mix that we're going to live through for the next 4 or 5 years, the rest of our lives. And really, we've got an opportunity. I was thinking about that Chinese proverb, trouble is like challenge and opportunity, because it's an opportunity for us to kind of like, if you're not satisfied with the life you're living, but you do know somewhere in there that you should be doing something different, you better go and do that. I encourage everybody to step out of the box if they can, and work with the parameters you have. Don't run away to Bali if you've got responsibilities, because that's not going to cut it. It's not about escapism. It's not about running away to some imaginary utopia. It's about taking the elements in your life that you have, the Saturn elements in your life, and turning it into gold. Somehow working the impossible mix of complexity that our lives are and making it something beautiful. So this is the ongoing thing, but these months, April, May, June, such a huge turning point in our lives. And I know you all can feel it. I know you all are kind of experiencing, it's like, what the fuck is going on? Well, that's what's going on, Mercury sextile to Mars on that day is going to be help our minds kind of be more focused and assertive and about what we really want and where we're going. So let's have a celebration on the solstice, because we just survived some of the most epic stuff we're going to see for a while. No, I have to take that back. We've just survived the beginning of the most epic time of our lives. And you've known this is coming since 2020. It's like, yeah, but this is actually the good stuff, believe it or not. This is the good stuff, and you got to go for it. So that's my report for now. I hope that wasn't too much, because it's a lot. I can't wait to hear some feedback on all this. But yeah, just listen to a lot of other reports. You'll see a lot of the other astrologers are kind of like hands in the air. It's pretty epic. What do you think?
Well, It's always too much with all of us, because we want to put out, no, let me rephrase that. It's never too much, because this is everything that is there in the energy.
Right?
And we are bringing it to you just as it is, and it would be nice, to bring some clear weather, like, oh, I have 3 points for you, and that is all, folks. Now you can sit back and relax. But we are not, like you said, we are not in that time. And I just came up with a really nice title for our video. It's called "I'm Sorry Baby, You're Going Down the Water Slide." Like
Yeah, there's no going back. You can try, but you won't make it.
exactly.
Go in
and
one
and I'm not
direction.
laughing, like meaning it in a mean way, but it is really true. Like there's no way back.
Yeah, yeah, there's no way
So
back. It's yeah, you're right. It's easy to want to escape. And we've done a lot of dreaming about what it could be like, but this is what it
mm,
is like. This is what an apocalypse actually looks like. And I mean, apocalypse in the original term of the revealing and the uncovering. This is what's real. And so
yeah,
things are breaking down, things are looking crazy, but it's necessary. It's absolutely necessary for us to get to that uh, better way that we all know in our hearts and souls that we're supposed to be doing. It's hard. It's a hard road.
it is. And like I said last time, like now you're using the word apocalypse, and people have been describing this era for a very long time as a turnaround for humanity. But the apocalypse is here, but then in a different way. It is about doing inner work, reframing our structures. How do we want to shape society? And also to come to really live from our intuition. And there's a spiritual war, I'm going to say it again, going on right now. So learn how to ground really to a beautiful center of the earth. Learn how to protect yourself. Learn how to, yeah, how to find people around you that can support you. And that is going to be the really the main thing.
That's
And
the
then
essential skill.
do you dare to follow your intuition,
Yeah,
your
that's
own
the
inner
essential skill.
guidance?
Follow your intuition and gather your tribe, gather your clan, because that's what humans do. That's what we're best at. We're
Mm,
actually pretty terrible when we're alone, as everyone's beginning to find out. It's like, yeah, we go crazy alone and we get overwhelmed. But when you're with
mm,
a copacetic group, if you're with your clan, the people who truly support you, and you can do that in a conscious way, it's like it doesn't make it easy, it just makes it easier. It just makes it worthwhile. um yeah, so yeah, it's a great time to step up. Saturn in Pisces square to all three for this new moon. It's like, oh yeah, a little discipline, a little samurai correctness, show up with some rituals and ground yourself.
mm,
Not everybody gets that opportunity. There's a lot of people there's just no way. They're not listening to these reports. But
mm.
um, yeah, it's a rough time for humanity. And
Well,
so,
better share the reports then.
yeah, share more, I don't know, wake up and
Share
wake
it
up
with
to the
your friends and
possibility
your
there's
family.
something more going on than just the news cycle is really, really tough. People are in
Mm,
survival, and they're in their willful asleepness, which I call zombie, where they just keep going, just don't ignore all the signs. There are no omens, there is no spirit. There's just what's in front of you. Just what you see is what you get. And
yeah.
that's worked pretty well for the 20th century until now. We're getting the revealing of all the errors of that way. It's like, oh, you got to reconnect to something
Ooh,
larger, swept away. And
I would love to add something to that,
mm,
because yeah, you were mentioning zombie mode, and last time we talked about programming as well. So
mm,
this is the after talk, people. So if you want to stick around, then please do. Um, but what I've noticed during the energy work that I did in the cities, is that my guides kept emphasizing the influence of the church. So the church, as it was intended by Jesus, was to bring people together in the name of love, faith, and listening to your own intuition. And then along came the church, and yeah, the way I've seen it really took over control, reframing the stories of the Bible, reframing the story of Jesus and Mary. And that has been such a big influence
Yeah.
on society from the early days on. And then, even if you're not a churchgoer, then there's also social media, there's the normal media, there's the news, there's peer pressure, there is so many channels that influence you. And what about your food? You know, loads of sugar will put you into zombie state for sure. Too much sugar, alcohol. Wow. For
Right.
years I thought like, ah man, I can just drink a beer, no? Like what is the problem? And that now that I've quit for yeah, I think I drank my last beer half a year ago, but then it was once in a while. Um, and now I'm totally in another zone, and it
Right.
feels so much clearer. I feel so much more connected, and I'm like, and I
Right.
look back at my old life when in the weekends I would go party and I would be totally distracted. So yeah, it's up to us what we choose. Yeah.
That's so, so right on. It's like, interestingly, I've been noticing that a lot of really, really intelligent people have been actually turning back to Christianity, which, I thought would be like, no way. It's like, that's just a passe old, imaginary. I was pretty agnostic and atheist for a long time. And, um, you know, I've turned a lot from all of that, but it's really coming back down to the roots of it all, and not the distorted, version that we've been fed for 2,000 years. It's just ingrained into us. And so it isn't just about a particular religion or its dogmas. It's about the overall attitude of we're all connected and we're all responsible for each other. And it isn't just about us either. It's like there's a whole universe full of energies and entities and beings and that we are also a community with. So
Oh man, don't get me started.
yeah, it's all of that, and so it's interesting because when I do my relationship medicine talks, we've been talking about the same thing of how things got distorted and how far away from the sacred we've gotten, that it's shown up as toxicity in our relationships and our intimate relationships, let alone in our world, right? And we all accept it as normal, as like partying and shallow relationships and all of that are just normal and expected, and that the destruction of the earth and the shitting in our own nest is just sort of like, oh well, it's just a side effect. We'll figure out some technological thing. We'll upload ourselves into computers. That's a great idea, or we'll just all go underground. That's a great idea. Or go to Mars. What a great idea. Oh, oh, yeah, that's not going to work out, kids.
Mm,
Anyway, yeah,
good.
yeah, it's on my mind a lot. It's on my mind a lot. It's like, how are we going to navigate this? But boom, here's the big thing. We have to trust.
Yeah.
We have to trust, because the apocalypse is not an attack on humanity. It's just
Mm,
foolishness that is getting corrected. And not only humanity, but the whole earth, Gaia, is incredibly resilient. And we'll just
mm,
laugh at our hubris that we think that the world's going to end with us. And it's not going to end with us. We're not even going to be ended. It's just the suffering that I it's breaking my heart. The amount of suffering we're engendering by just staying asleep and not making any moves. But it just seems like that, because actually the fact that you and I are having these conversations, Phina, there's people all over the world, millions, billions of people having this conversation right now. It's not
I
like
know.
it's not evident. It's just not in the news cycle. It's just not getting published. It's just not, part of the media program. It doesn't sell soap very well. So it's not getting, people don't see it. It's all mycelial. So the darkness and the light are co-emergent. It's not all gloom and doom. We're not out of the woods yet, but we'll never be out of the woods. But the woods are also beautiful.
Go to the woods, people.
Yeah, we could talk for hours about this. This is a whole nother tank.
Yeah, for sure.
You're gonna
And we're going to do that like in a couple of weeks. And
Yeah,
you
you're
had a
gonna hear
very
a
good
lot
idea.
of this, because the whole point of this is also to help you all, get through your day to day and recognize you're part of a bigger pattern. But it's also we've got to start having these conversations about what the fuck is going on and what can we do about it. So yeah, thank you, Phina. Always, always really intense and wonderful and beautiful. And you were so right on again. I'm like, ah. Pluto sextile Neptune. That's what she's talking about. Saturn and Pisces. Where to the new moon? Oh my God, she's so right on.
I love you. I love how goofy we can be. Just before we did the reading, we were we were trying to do a little bit shift out of our day, into the reading. Okay, let's do a grounding meditation. Let's just be a cat for
Right? Be a cat. Cats aren't worried.
It was so funny. We've been meowing for 2 minutes, so
That was our meditation to get into this.
yeah. I
Right?
love you, my friend,
I
and
love you
I
too.
really loved recording this reading with you, and I'm so looking forward. Again, I'm gonna say it to within a couple of days, well, 20
Yeah,
days or
3 weeks. I'll be in
so.
the same space as Phina. So and
Yeah.
I'm sending a ton of love to anybody who's gotten all the way to the end of this, and send us a kiss, because this is for
We're
you.
sending you a kiss.
I want you in the conversation as well. It's like,
Yeah, and dive in. Like, if you want to add something to it, please, like, write something. People are so quiet and
there's a lot of
behaving so
noise out there.
politely, like. Okay, sweetie.
All right.
You lovely people. Mwah. See you later. Ciao, ciao.